I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. In this video, we'll consider 6 questions which are based on Pythagorean theorem, and we'll consider problems related to distance, speed, and time. So let's go through the questions once, right? Quickly. So these are the type of questions which we are going to solve. The idea here is once you read the question, you should be in a position to sketch a diagram, which is very simple, but understanding how do we sketch and then solve is very, very important. So try to, when you read these questions, sketch the diagram and then try to solve them. That's the whole idea. In case you want to learn directly from me, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Also, let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for watching our videos, posting excellent comments, and also contributing. Every dollar counts. So we thank you a lot for your contributions. As you know, we had been providing you with these free services absolutely free for last 15 years. Now we have 17,000 plus videos which are being watched in over 80 countries. We want to reach millions worldwide who are really wanting to see our knowledge based videos. Education is not affordable in many countries. Your contributions can help us reach millions. So please keep contributing. So now let's get back to the questions one by one. Here is one of the first question. We are not maintaining any order, right? So I know it writes question number 3. So they are just picked at random. A boat traveled 8 kilometers north and then 6 kilometers east. Sketch a diagram to illustrate the situation. How far did the boat go from the starting point? So, north, as you know, we can say a direction which normally is taken north in this way, and east is this direction, correct? So, let's make kind of a coordinate axis at right angles, north and east. Sketch a diagram. Boat travels 8 kilometers north and then 6 kilometers east. So let us assume that the boat travels from the origin O 8 kilometers and then 6 kilometers east, right? So that is where the boat is at present. And what we need to find is how far it is from the starting point, right? So let's call these positions as A and B, where one side is 8, the other side is 6, all are in kilometers. We need to find the distance OB. Very clear? And what you notice is that has a right angle at A, right? So using Pythagorean theorem, we can say that OB square is indeed equal to OA square plus AB square, right? So OB square is basically equal to OA is 8 square plus 6 square. And that gives you 64 plus 36, which is 100. And now we can write what OB is, positive value, square root of 100, which is 10, and the units are kilometers. So include units in your answers. So you have the diagram, and here the answer is it is 10 kilometers away. Simple as that to begin with, correct? Now, here's another question, kind of similar to what we just did. Now, the idea is that I like you to pause the video, answer it yourself. And in case you like my method of teaching, you can always contact me directly to learn from me. Feel free to access the playlist absolutely free for more knowledge. Okay, next question here is a car travels at an average speed of 60 kilometers per hour north for 2 hours and then travels at an average speed of 40 kilometers per hour for an hour. Now, here we are giving you the speed and time. We are not giving you the distance directly, right? That's the whole difference. So, remember one relation, which is distance is speed into time, correct? So, remember this particular triangle helps us, right? So let me rewrite distance d is speed into time. So as you know, distance is product of speed and time. That's one part. Second is, let's make a diagram in this particular case. So let's say this is our north, right? It says a car traveled at an average 60 kilometers per hour north for 2 hours, right? So 60 kilometers north. So the distance from O, let's say car goes from O to, let me first sketch north and east as we did in the last example. And when we say it travels north from O to A, let us say it travels north for 2 hours, right? So how much is OA? So clearly OA will be equal to, it travels 60 kilometers per hour for 2 hours, right? So it is 60 kilometers per hour times 2 hours. You see that? So it is 120 kilometers. If you write like this, the units also cancel, and you're very sure that exactly everything falls in place. So distance is speed into time. So we know that O to A is 120 kilometers. So I'm writing 120 here. There says then travels at an average speed of 40 kilometers per hour for an hour. So let's say from A to B, A to B is at the average speed of 40 kilometers per hour for 1 hour, right? So again, hour cancels. This distance is 40 kilometers. So I'm writing this as 40 kilometers. It makes sense, right? Now, how far is it? So definitely we have to find the distance from the origin, from where it started, which is O to B. And therefore, O to B, as we did last time, will be 120 square plus 40 square, correct? Now you can also use calculator. This is OB squared using the Pythagorean theorem since we have a right angle at A. Is that clear to you? So you can use calculator also. Sometimes the numbers can be very big. So 120 square plus 40 square, right? So that gives you a number which is 16,000, right? And then we know O to B is how much. So let me write down OB will be equal to square root of 16,000, which is, as you know, 40 square root 10, but decimal value will be 126.5. So it is 126.5 kilometers. Is that clear to you? So convert to decimal units, one decimal place, or you can write exact value also. Is that clear to you, right? So that is how we are going to do this question. So with that, we completed another type of question where distance was not directly given to us, right? And we still found it by using the distance as speed into time. So I hope you are understanding and appreciating it. Now let's look into the next type of a question, which is like this. A car travels north a distance of 50 kilometers, then east a distance of 80 kilometers, and then again north 50 kilometers. Sketch a diagram to illustrate the situation. How far did the car go from the starting point? Now, this is a very interesting question. Let's try to sketch the situation. It travels north 50 kilometers, then east, and then again north, right? So, let's say that is our north and east direction given to us. So, first it travels north 50 kilometers, right? So, let's say this is 50 kilometers, it travels north 50 kilometers, and east 80 kilometers. So, let's say this is 80 kilometers for us, east. And then again 50 kilometers north, again 50 kilometers north. So we are given that this is 50 kilometers north, 50 kilometers north, and this is 80 kilometers here, east. Now we need to find the distance it travels from O to the end point, right? So A, B, and C are 3 points for us. So we have to find what O to C is. Is that clear to you? So, very interesting question. I made the diagram for you, done the first part. But the next part, how far did the car go from the starting point? I'm leaving that for you to do. You can always email me and understand how do we solve such questions, right? So once we have learned about distance, time, and speed, I think we'll also look into other types of questions which are very popular under this heading. So you must have seen these kinds of questions also, which is height and distance related. So it is an airplane flying at a constant speed of 60 kilometers per hour at a height of 10 kilometers crosses over a tracking radar at 11 a.m. Determine its distance from the radar at 11:05. So, so let's say we have an airplane going in this particular direction and it crosses over a radar. Let's say that's the radar, right? So, what we are given here is that the plane is going at 600 kilometers per hour, right? And this happens at 11 a.m. It crosses. So, at 11:05, it will travel some distance, correct? So, we are really interested in finding the distance from here to there. Is that okay? So that is at 11:05. So that is the question. Obviously, this is 90 degrees. We know that it is 10 kilometers above. Correct. So again, a very similar question. So let's say this point is O and this is A and B, and we need to find what is A to B. So A to B is known to us as equal to speed is 600 kilometers per hour, right? 600 kilometers per hour, and time is 5 minutes, right? So it is 5 minutes. So now, because the time is given in 5 minutes, we should actually convert it to hours. How do we do that? We can multiply with, 1 hour has 60 minutes, right? So we can say 1 hour has 60 minutes, right? So that could help us to simplify it. Then you see minutes and minutes will cancel, hour and hour will cancel, and we'll get the distance in kilometers, correct? So we can now calculate 60 is 10 and 5 times is 50 kilometers. Is that clear to you, right? So we know that the distance AB is 50 kilometers, right? So that is 50 kilometers. Once you know this distance, you can find O to B, right? So let's do it. So O to B is 10 square plus 50 square. Longer distance, right? Square root. So Pythagorean theorem, we are finding this. Clear? So let's do this, right? So we have 10 square plus 50 square. Right? You need a calculator. That is always better for such questions. Uh, So 10 square root 26 I get, which is around 51 kilometers. So approximately 51 kilometers. So very close to 50, O to B is 51 kilometers as per our calculations. Make sense, right? Great. So in most of our examples, what we did was that we found the hypotenuse, the longest side. Now here is slightly different question for you, which could be the case, right? The question is, a kite flying at a height of 50 meters is attached to a string with a length of 200 meters. How far is the kite along the ground? Round your answer to the nearest meter. So let's say that the kite is flying and that is the distance. Uh, that is how the diagram is, correct? And this is the ground. So what we are given here is that from this position O, this is the position K, and it is at a height of 50 meters. And the string length is 200 meters. We really need to find what is O to G, distance along the ground, right? So, since this is a right angle triangle. Now, remember this time, this 200 is the hypotenuse. That square should be equal to OG square plus 50 square. Is that clear to you, right? So, OG square basically is the difference. So, whenever you're trying to find a smaller side, it will be the difference, right? So, square root of 200 square minus 50 square, and then calculate using calculator. Equals to 37500 square root of that equals to the answer 50 15 square root. A decimal value 193.6. Okay. So many meters is the length O2G. Do you see that? So with that, we come to an end of this particular video, and you can see that we did a very beautiful variety of questions. In case you really like and subscribe my videos, that'd be great. And in case you want to learn from me directly, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. We can be part of your success story and keep contributing towards your own channel. Thanks for your time and all the best.